Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with Jim Kuzak. He is Team Glock's adaptive shooter and brand ambassador. And a little inside joke here that you may or may not hear about later is I was able to make him laugh in a way nobody has with his story ever. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing very well. Starting it off with a laugh, so that's good.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah, so I'm curious, when were you first introduced to firearms?
The first recollection is probably 8 years old, and that was my first BB gun.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we lived in a duplex, and we had steps that went down to the garage. And my dad put a box down at the bottom of the stairs, a couple boxes behind it, and I ratcheted that look-alike Winchester 30-30 and shot indoors until it was, not a Pennsylvania winter back in those days. Yeah, so that was my first gun. I still have that BB gun to this day.
Oh, now that's cool. So was he the one that taught you like firearm safety and all of that, or was that later?
Everything. Pennsylvania time hunting was 12 years old, but I was going just not with a firearm since I was 8.
Yeah.
Started going with Dad all the time, and neighbor across the street also shot, but he didn't hunt, so my handgun started with that. And then it never stopped from there on.
I got to ask, how old were you when you handled a shotgun? I'm always curious.
A shotgun?
Yeah.
Probably no less than 10.
Heck yeah. See, that's the thing is like people are intimidated by shotguns, and I know 8-year-old girls that can handle them. You know what I mean?
Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. My father probably put I think it was if I want to say right, it might have been an Ithaca that I first hunted with, pump, with no butt pad. And just, shooting all day. I don't think I could feel my arm for a week.
My dad put buckshot in my 20 gauge, which was better on the 20 gauge, but he was like, here you go.
It's still buckshot.
Yeah.
They have a sick sense of humor.
Absolutely. Now, growing up too, did you know that your career path was going to take you into law enforcement?
I had no idea. And I'll tell you the story that goes to show you that when you're very, very young, you sometimes do know what you're talking about. So I was probably, let's just go with, say, early 30s, maybe 31. And my mother gave me a Christmas present, and it was a frame with, if you looked inside of it, it was a piece of paper, white paper. And I don't know if you seem young enough to not maybe remember this. Before we had copying machines, they had the ditto makers.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't.
So the older people on here will know that it was purple ink on white paper, and that's how they just called a ditto machine. They put the first one copying that they made of the test or the questions or whatever, rolled it through with this ink. Well, when you would get it nice and hot right off the press, you could sit there, kids would smell it in class. Smell the ink. Yeah, that's what our teachers would teach us. Anyway, 10 questions like that in that ditto maker on there, and it was from kindergarten, teacher asking you questions and them writing the answers in, or me trying to. And simple ones like, what's your favorite food? What do you like to eat? Do you like ice cream? What's your mom and dad look like? And then it goes, what do you want to be when you grow up? Again, I'm 30-some years old. I've been a police officer now for some years. It said, I want to be a policeman.
Huh.
And I'm going, are you kidding me? At kindergarten?
Yeah.
And then it said, who's your best friend? And I said, Guy, who was my cousin of the same age. Oh. And to this day, he's my best friend.
You knew.
It's crazy. hadn't seen that piece of paper since I made it. Oh. And now my mother gives it to me when I'm 30-some. I'm going, this is just wrong.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, but it was neat. So I guess you could say I knew in the back of my mind. But no, I was slated to come out of high school to go to be a pilot and fly.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you pursue that?
So in high school, back when I was in high school in the 80s, they let you go out for a day to go to the job fairs or the college fairs. I always thought I wouldn't go the college fair route, but I went with my two buddies and we went driving up to, at the time, which was called the Community College of Beaver County in Western Pennsylvania, because they owned the air traffic control tower. And my buddy wanted to do that, and I'm going to be a pilot. They had flight school there.
Oh.
So yeah, we walk in there, just, high school kids thinking this is cool. And I looked up on the wall of this guidance counselor's office in there, and it said lethal weapons training. So I saw that. I'm like, yeah, I got to do this. And then I went a little bit more, and they had a police academy program. To this day, state of Pennsylvania, as long as you don't have a misdemeanor, you do your background, you can go to a police academy. As long as you're accepted. Mine was through a college, so I got an associate's degree from it.
Okay.
So that's where it changed my mind. Now, where it really did was just as I started first year of college, not there, I happened upon an accident late at night, and I couldn't do anything. Police officers showed up, pulled a poor girl out. She was injured. And right there, I kind of put two things together and said, I'm going to the police academy.
Wow.
So I was in the police academy at 19.
That impacted your entire life, changed your trajectory.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if I would have done it had I not been out and seen that and put in a position where you're like, what can I do? And there really wasn't much. So
yeah.
So I think that was the turning point. Parents weren't real happy about that, but
they never are.
No. If you're not doing something wrong to upset them, you're not doing your own way.
It's interesting because I feel like the military parents are very proud when their kids choose military. Mm-hmm. But then when you say law enforcement, they're all like, no.
Yeah.
For good reason now.
But I understand. But yeah, that's kind of where it started.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, what was like your absolute favorite part about being a law enforcement officer? What did you love about the job?
I think I loved when I got into it, that of course I get to carry a gun every day. But when I started in it, I had to start part-time. So I was working a bunch of different places. And by the year 1993, I was working, if not 4 different police jobs part-time. I'd be lying to you. And as I would leave one to go to another, trying to get to that full-time position. I'm telling you, we would have tests for one position for a department, and there'd be 300 people there. So when I see today what's going on, and you're lucky to have 10, it's just sad. But anyway, I did that, worked at these departments at 21 years old, and I actually worked at a water park here that we actually had police. So I got to walk around in shorts with a gun belt on all day long, watching the swimmers in the water park water slides, and it was a terrible job.
Horrible.
Yeah, I hated every minute of it. It was open. We had an outdoor dancing hall down behind it, so we would work that on the outskirts, and then the bouncers worked inside.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. I got into some fun there. Yeah.
So were you ever off the job then?
93? No.
Yeah.
No. I also started at what was called then Star Lake Amphitheater, had police there as well. But again, I don't know nothing. They just put me out there with a gun and a badge and say, okay, don't let them storm the stage, and you know what to do. Okay.
But you got to see some cool artists too, I'm sure.
I did. That summer 93, I saw Spin Doctors. I saw Lollapalooza tour. I saw Sting. Yeah, it was fun.
How hard is it to maintain that like serious bass when all you want to do is like sing along and jam out?
Well, when you're 21 years old, it's real hard because I'm thinking, hey, I should be here. And they're thinking, I'll bet you I could take that cop when there's 12,000 of us here just out there.
Right.
And that was my first, I think, fear in law enforcement. Lollapalooza, we were highly outnumbered. Yeah. And one of the acts on stage said for the lawn, just everybody run up to the stage. We were literally, all the guys we had, and we're knocking people off the back steps to keep them on the lawn.
Ugh.
And then they figured out, well, if we can't get up there, we may as well just throw stuff. They started ripping up the sod and throwing the sod.
I don't understand people.
I got back home, took my gun off, couldn't rack the slide. I had so much dirt that had hit me and sod, it was landed on my gun, that it just did not want to cycle the slide.
Oh my God. Yeah. What you've seen with concerts lately, we don't have to go into that, but like people are dying.
Yeah. That's what I said. It has changed a lot. But I had fun. My first year, I got to see some of the worst in people right off the bat. I worked alongside some of the, in fact, I worked in Homestead, Pennsylvania, which is one of the largest steel mill towns at the time, was coming to its end. I would know that 18 years later, I'm only working, 15 miles down or 15 miles upriver at another steel town that still has a working mill, and that's where I got shot.
Wow.
It's just so weird where everything comes along.
Your life is, I don't know if it's coincidences or fate or destiny. I don't know.
Wouldn't you think? It's kind of got some, and now that I'm talking this out, I don't think I thought about a lot of these things before. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
I know we touched on it, but like, with everything going on now, can you imagine going through the academy or like signing up to be a police officer these days?
I don't get it. I talked to a bunch of academy classes at times. I just was asked to speak at an academy class from an officer who's now the head instructor and the director of the program. So I did that in June, and as I sat there, and as we'll talk later about the iBot that I got, the wheelchair, I was able to talk to these students at my former eye level at 6 foot tall. So that was neat. But to talk to these 11, that's how small the class was, 11 men and women, I looked at them and I'm like, wow, I'm the old guy. 2, there's only 11 of them right there. Yeah. 11. My academy class, I think we had like 30, So I told them, I said, I'm only going to give you the knowledge that I think I have, but I can't give you the knowledge you're going to need from today on.
Right.
Because I don't know. I said, the worst thing I had to deal with was car cams. I said, that was no big deal. I said, as long as you're the same person in front of that camera as you were behind it, you'll have no problems.
Right.
And if you're thinking, oh, I don't want this camera on me, then you're doing something you shouldn't be doing.
Yep.
So that's that's kind of where it came about with thinking about how I would take this job and do it now. It's not even now; it's more of a job than it's a career, I think, because people are leaving it behind like it was just a job.
Right. Yeah. And before you share your story too, I wanted to ask, like, what are some ways that maybe law-abiding citizens don't even think to help our law enforcement officers out, whether it's in public or in situations? Like, what can we do better?
I think it would be a lot of just say hi.
Yeah.
Think about it. One of my instructors that I had in the academy had been a retired city of Pittsburgh homicide detective. He says he remembers when he walked the beat and they didn't have radios, they had the call boxes. He says, how do you think I got to know people? I talked to everyone.
Yeah.
Well, now that we don't do that and we ride in cars and we're closed up, they don't ever meet us.
Yeah.
The majority of people that you can get things across to are the ones that you actually speak to.
Yeah.
So when you're window up, riding by in your air-conditioned police car, you're that much more inaccessible. Mm-hmm. So I think that needs to be one of the things you need to change. I think they need to get out of the car, say, even in a shopping center, just park your car right up front where people can see it and walk the shopping center. Yeah. Stop into the shops, open the door, hi. You get back to that, I think you'll get a lot more of people willing to be involved to benefit the police. Witnesses, calling things in that were just happenstance before. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to, I think, a lot of that.
Yeah, I like that. I try to thank my officers when I see them too. I'm like, thank you. I would never be able to do your job.
And you're going to get a lot of different things that way. You're going to have someone that you see as a police officer and you say, hey, how are you? And they're going to not want to talk to you.
Yeah.
They may have been arrested before. They may have been arrested where they think it was not proper or they think it was brutal.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't listen, it's going to be brutal to you. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, I know you shared this thousands and thousands of times. So, for my listeners who haven't heard, do you want to share what happened to you in the line of duty?
We got to be a little more specific. I've had a lot happen to me in the line
Yeah.
of duty,
What'd
good
you
and
say?
bad.
iBot? The iBot?
The iBot, we'll get to
Okay.
the iBot. The iBot is something to talk about. But no, for the incident that pretty much ended my career happened April 4th, 2011 in the city of Clairton. That's so people can maybe look it up if they choose to do so. Right? It's CLAIRTON. And it had been a long-standing police department because they've had the mill there forever. And the first police department, I think, started back in the 20s. You know, we'd find all kind of stuff. We knew where the first jail was in the building and everything like that. And it was the old city building. But it had to shut down, I think, right when the mill closed in the early 80s because they literally had zero money to staff a police department.
Yeah.
So then you had the Pennsylvania State Police come in and work it for a while. And then what took over after the state police was Allegheny County Police Department, and they worked it. And then in 1992, and this is another coincidence we'll see, 1992, I tested to be hired by the City of Clairton Police Department. So did my now chief of police.
Oh, no way.
We were all there in the city building getting ready to take this police test. I'm just out of the academy, 20 years old. I just didn't get picked. My chief did, though, and he's been there ever since 1992.
Oh, wow.
So he rose up from there to sergeant to chief. So let's go back to April 4th. I'm now working at the City of Clairton Police Department that I did not get hired in 1992. It's just, it's serendipity. It's amazing what happens. So there was three of us working, myself, Matt Mcdaniel, and John Steiner. And I got to tell these three guys' names because they're involved from there all the way through today. And at the time, John Steiner was the youngest of us. I think he was probably 22 or 23, probably maybe a little bit older because he had been there for 2 years as a full-time officer.
Okay.
2 years on the job.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the guy we laughed in the station. You're the one that gets the calls and you tell us where to go because we're part-time. Now, I've already had 18 years on the job. Matt had, I think, 12 years on the job. And we're loving it. We're like, you're responsible for us. And he took it quite literally and we had fun, Yeah. But we got a call. We've been answering calls all night. We have, now mind you, Clairton, the entire city's probably maybe 4 square miles. Wow. It's not very big, but it's heavily populated and heavily populated with people that want to get in trouble and, unfortunately, a little bit of drugs. Mm-hmm. And drugs always brings a lot of different things along, which we can find out by my incident.
Yeah.
We got a call, I think it was about 10:47. Yeah, 10:47, 10:45 of a disturbance at a house on Miller Avenue. And the caller was the residents at 860 Miller Avenue of a duplex, that something was going on at 858. And they said, it's just not right. We hear noises over there. It shouldn't be. There's a family with 2 children. And they said, I got over the dispatch and on our computers that it was just a disturbance. So we started up. I get there and Matt and I get there blacked out, meaning we shut all the lights off in the car so they didn't see us come up. We get out quietly and we're just listening about 2 houses back. John pulls up, he gets out, and we get prepared to go up to the house. All we were told was the noise is going on inside there and that I already knew of the house because this family was being provided for by the father, who was a drug dealer. So now this gives you a different level of what may be going on.
Yeah.
So I go to the back, and there's only 2 ways in this place, front door or back door on that side. I kind of snuck alongside of the house and went around the back, and I could hear a lot of commotion inside. I went to the back door, which is literally up 4 steps on a deck that wouldn't be any larger than, let's say, a pallet.
Okay.
It's just there because that's how high the door is.
Mm-hmm.
So as I go to step up that, now I'm gun out at my chest level, ready to go. I get up the top of the steps, and I see the door just shuts, and it's it was a quarter inch open, and it shuts real abruptly. So I run up to kick it, and of course, here we go, Murphy's Law. It's a steel door. Wouldn't think so. The house is an old house, but no, it's got a steel door. So I come down off the deck. I come back around to Matt and John, and I said, "Hey, I've made contact back here." He said, "So did I up front." He goes, "And the guy came, something's not right," because he said, "Everything's fine, just leave." And he closes the door. So I said, "Well, let's go towards the back again. I'll try and get up there and get back, try and make contact." So now Matt is slung, he's got his AR, and John and I just have our sidearms. So they follow me as we go back down that line of the house. Matt backs off to get cover front and back. So John and I stack up to go up the steps. So when I go up the steps, John hangs back just a little bit, and it's just pitch black. It's April, Pennsylvania. It's drizzling right now. It's just miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I literally step up, my 2 feet hit the top of the deck, and I'm looking at that white door, and all of a sudden it opens in and to the right. My mouth's getting dry.
Yep, you're good.
So it opens in and to the right, and all I see is now a black void. And then I see a muzzle flash. And I'm like, I know what that is. And I now immediately go into that fight or flight. So now that first shot, the muzzle blast, I just see this big orange cloud, and then you see black. So now I'm already, my gun is right at chest level. I got both hands on it. I'm like, yeah, I should be firing back. In my mind, going now very slow, I'm thinking, but you're not. Mm-hmm. What I didn't know is that first bullet literally went down my forearm, entered my left forearm, about mid forearm, traveled all the way down my arm and lodged in my elbow. That immediately took away my gun from my gun hand. I didn't know that. So as I'm now backpedaling, you get the auditory exclusion, starting to get a little bit of tunnel vision, which is even worse because I can't see anything anyway because it's all black. And I just know I start reeling backwards. And when I do, I fall backwards and hit my head on the spindle of the banister on the side of the railing. And what caused me to go down, I didn't know also, was 2 bullets had crossed. I was bladed at the door, crossed my vest in the front, took out my microphone on my radio that was on my chest. And then the 4th bullet actually entered through my vest, right between my armpit and the left side of my chest. We know through NIJ standards that anything 2 inches from any seam or edge, they're not going to say has the ability to stop the bullet, which it didn't. It traveled through all 18 layers of the vest. Yeah, that magic bullet went into my chest at nipple height, hit a rib, changed direction, went down through my left lung on an angle and hit the foraminal opening of my T11 vertebrae, and then went across my spinal column at some degree and is now lodged in my back, my lower right side of the spine. So when that happened, it initially took my feet right off from underneath me, and then bullet number 5 went through my armpit through and through. I had no idea all this happened. I just know that I'm sitting on my ass, can't feel my legs, and at the same time, I'm like, this isn't good. And I can feel the presence of somebody, and I see legs. And I thought that was going to be the point where they finished me off. Mm-hmm. Couldn't feel for my gun or anything. I just kind of was waiting for it, but it never happened. And then I realized, 1, I can't breathe. 2, I can feel how the hot blood is now running down my side, and I'm still there. I'm like, okay. Now, 2 things happen. Your mind works a little different. I think my training kicked in there, because then I started trying to radio out. Couldn't radio out because I couldn't have my mic. My radio wasn't working on my side. I'm trying to reach around and feel for my gun, and I couldn't feel it. And then when I hit my legs, it just had that weird sensation. And that sensation is now called neuropathic pain. So I got as much breath as I could because it kept getting harder and harder to breathe. And I just yelled out, I'm down, I'm hit. And I didn't know if anybody's going to hear me because I didn't know where John was and I didn't know where Matt was.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was they had been close enough to see that the suspect or suspects ran out the back and was running towards the alley. So they took off after. When I did get out that I was hit, Matt heard it, stopped chasing, turns around with his AR, didn't know it was me, comes up with the flashlight. Now at the time, our uniforms, we were wearing black BDUs. Our patches were just in silver, so it's hard. You're blacked out.
Yeah.
Matt levels off on me with his AR and fortunately doesn't put another hole in me. So this is now coming from Matt and John's perspective. Matt comes running back, yelling to John to come back, and Matt gets back to the deck. He's now at the bottom. He's slung with an AR. He's probably, Matt's 5'9", 5'10", wearing all his gear, vest and everything, pulls me over and literally gets me up on his shoulder, my head over his back, my legs over his front. And John is now giving cover of us. It's weird the things you remember, because I remember hitting my head, but I never lost consciousness. Now I look back, I can see myself, my head bouncing off Matt's ass as he's running me out the front. And then Matt, they go about 2 houses down, and Matt just, he says, lays me on the ground. I say drops me because I hit my head again. And Matt said when he checked later, his AR went muzzle deep all the way through into the mud because of, taking me down and then the muzzle. He's like, so yeah, I had to clean that later on. I'm like, oh, that wasn't a big deal at the time.
Yeah.
So at this point, Matt is also an EMT. So he starts tearing the shirt off, getting the vest off. And I remember him saying, Jimmy, this is going to hurt. And he grabbed that open wound with his hand. And that was the first time I felt pain. And I screamed out. I'm like, yeah. And I can still now feel how much blood I'm losing. This isn't good. Now, I can't recollect seeing a lot. I think it was just blurry and then it was starting to rain. I remember hearing Matt's voice, John's voice, and then another officer from the surrounding department. I heard his voice, and then I heard sirens. Now, when things like this happen in a small department like that in Western Pennsylvania, Allegheny County itself, where we were, has 127 police departments.
Wow.
All on the same 911, just different zones. So they put out an all call, which is everybody and any available officer just goes to the officer down call. They told me after they did the check back through, they had 47 police departments there.
Wow. We
had the state police helicopter was flying, and the guys were getting it done.
They showed up. Yeah.
I was a little busy bleeding, so I couldn't get involved in that stuff. So
yeah, it's still very powerful that many people came in.
They had so the ambulance was there. They come. I remember them starting to work on me. Remember them abruptly throwing me up onto the cot. I also remember when they go to put me into the ambulance that it wasn't going in. And at the time, there's a safety bar on the back that clips over a hook so that you don't go flying down the road.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't get that over there, and they'd keep bouncing me off the back of the ambulance. And Matt was screaming, "Get him the fuck in the ambulance." I remember hearing that. So then we get in the ambulance and we start going. What I was told now is that we're going to go down to the Clairton Steel Mill because it has a helipad. They're going to fly me out. Well, Stat Medevac said, I can't because of the weather. I'm like, okay. So now we're on the 17-minute trip to UPMC Mercy Trauma Center. And they start going. And I remember how bad it was getting to breathe because I remember them sticking the needle in my upper chest to try and reinflate the lung. That hurt. But now they also tell me that our ambulance driver was the ambulance company director. Pouring down rain, the police car that's supposed to be in front of us is behind us, and somebody pulls out in front of the ambulance.
Oh.
I remember to the point where I think one of the EMTs fell on top of me, and I think they put the ambulance on 2 wheels because the car pulled out. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. So my leg flew off the cot. I had 2 IVs in, 1 IV ripped out. And then as we now are starting to get back to normal, the paramedic says, "Can you put your leg back up on there?" I said, "No, I told you I'm paralyzed."
Mhm.
I already knew. I don't know why, I don't know how, but you just kind of knew, I guess. So then they put in, because the IVs weren't staying in, they put in what they call IOs, which I didn't know at the time was they have a drill that literally drills hole into a bone, and they put it immediately in there to deliver whatever drugs they're gonna have to do.
Mm.
Lucky for me, I couldn't feel my legs at the time,
Right.
paralyzed and all. So we got to the hospital. I remember getting pulled out, seeing all the lights overhead, kind of like you used to see in ER when they're rushing people in and you see all the lights. And then I remember talking to what they tell me now was the trauma surgeon.
Hmm.
And he's like asking what hurts and everything. And told him, well, my ass hurts. And it really did. It was something about the right side of my body that hurt. And then I said, other than that, I don't know. And then everything went white.
Hmm.
And I didn't know if that was bye-bye, you're going upstairs, or bye-bye, you're going downstairs. Yeah. So that was, in a nutshell, that was pretty much the beginning of my new life right there.
Yeah. Now, when you woke up, did you still remember that you were paralyzed? Like you had that knowledge?
Yes. What I was told happened was, of course, my parents are getting notified. Chris and my parents. Chris is my fiance / wife, because we just go with wife. It works better that way.
Yeah.
So she was there at the house, and at the time we both were in a weird situation. So we were both living at my parents' home for the time being. And what I was told was where we lived, Rochever police showed up at the front door with that knock at 11 o'clock. And right around 11, maybe a little bit later than that, and it says, "Hey, you need to come with us. Jim's been involved in a shooting and he's being taken to the hospital." So all three of them pile in the car, get an escort, and they get the escort in the driving range. And this happens, miscommunications. They get escorted to the township line, not the hospital. And Clareton wasn't there to pick them up to lead them in. So they made it themselves. Chris said, she goes, "I thought we were going to die the way your dad was driving." Okay, well, I don't blame you. And then they took off for the hospital. I think they were led into a room, probably, they said, around 5 in the morning, and I wasn't awake yet. And then later on in the morning, they started bringing me out. And that first time I remember, because I had the intubation tube still in it.
Oof.
And I wasn't real happy. So I started chewing on that, and they put me back out.
Yeah.
When they woke me back up with that, I didn't know, they realized they extubated me. I was woken up, and then I could talk and starting to talk to people and seeing my mother, my dad, and Chris. And like my mother said, she had told everybody, "Don't say nothing to him about being paralyzed. I'll tell him." So she says, "Jimmy, I got to tell you something." She goes, "You're paralyzed." And I went, "Yeah, I know." Which I'm sure shocked her, but I did. I just woke up knowing that.
Yeah.
And still was a little, obviously, woozy, because I was at the time I was in ICU, but the ICU unit I was in was the burn unit of Mercy. Ooh. It's a locked unit that the only people who have, obviously, the codes can get in. And I'm thinking about that. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, they don't know who shot me. So they don't want anybody coming back to find me and do whatever.
Yep.
So I stayed in the burn unit for 10 days in ICU there. I feel so bad. I can't imagine what it would be to put somebody in a burn unit, the pain they're feeling, because I would listen every night to just screams of agonizing pain. I was also in agonizing pain, but I don't think it was on the level they were. And that was for some rough nights. I mean, not only dealing with what I had going on, listening to these poor people having to deal with what they had going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everybody that came to the hospital, the police were at those doors. They were rotating officers every hour. I mean, I had told Chris at one point, get a sign-in book so I know who came to see me or do all this stuff. And she did. Yeah. And we got a pile of cards that people were leaving too. So
that's awesome.
It was kind of a big deal going on then. So
it's the community too. For those listening to this podcast, and I know there are some, especially in the shooting sports, that are maybe like newly confined to a chair, disabled. what are some things that helped you to kind of accept life and still, live life to the fullest?
Every time I get asked that question, I sit here and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. It was, I think I took my situation as that second chance.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, or in my mind, when I got to the hospital, this is bad.
Right.
And when it went out, I didn't know. I mean, I thought this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So waking up and seeing that I'm not dead is just a gift that I wish I could impart any of that to everybody, because it really does make life sweeter.
Yeah, no, I love that. The other thing to ask that I probably don't know, but what are some like resources or organizations or like even groups that helped you like online or offline connect with people and share your story and hear other stories?
There are so many websites. I wish I could even tell you 5 of them. But honestly, where it starts is Facebook.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that for some reasons, but social media platforms, I think, have brought this community, the disabled community, so much more together that they can see that we're just not a person sitting in a home all day long, not going outside. Because you wouldn't believe it's kind of like that thing. People just don't know what to say to you.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. The only thing that's different is I'm just not as tall as I once was, and you can speak to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's hard because it's not that you're staring, but you want to look.
Mhm.
It's just human nature. Just like when I see kids, every time I see kids, I kind of try and get to the point where I can talk to them.
Yeah.
So that to them they just understand it's normal. It's just the same person. So I got connected with a lot of groups through social media, and then I was going through the people that dealt with me and teaching me in Mercy. We had there was a floor for spinal cord rehab, so they were putting us through together a lot of groups that we had at the time. Mostly what I'll do now is if I have questions or anything still pops up, I go on the Spinal Cord United, I think it is.
Okay.
And that's online. Everything is just through Facebook to me right now with all that. And
I like it.
most of my community, I say disability oriented, was going to back to the hospital, talking to the next unfortunate people that were spinal injury. And I did meet a lot of people immediately after my injury, because I did have that attitude of, you're not stopping me. I'm still going to live. I'm still going to do things. So I was asked to come back and talk to a lot of people at the hospital. And I did that for probably a good 5 years right after that. And we met some wonderful people that have also been able to, because I mean, tell you what, it's a hard sell when you first get in that hospital.
Mhm.
And you know that you're paralyzed, and you know that what's going to happen.
Right.
And getting through to those people at that minute and that time is very, very hard. But most of the people that I did talk to, I still have some type of contact with them today. I see where they are. We literally ended up meeting our veterinarian that took care of our dogs. Our dogs are our kids and a big part of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time I was in a hospital, Xena, Chris's certified cadaver dog, because she was in search and rescue. So Xena had hurt her paw, and Chris was like, I want to go see Jimmy. I wanted to take the dogs to the hospital, but I can't. They couldn't do all the things at once. Well, our vet said, I'll meet you at the hospital and I'll wrap Xena's foot there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
The other good thing was both of our dogs, Xena and Czar, were certified therapy dogs.
Oh,
So they were able to
be there.
Bring them into the hospital to kind of see me and everything, which was fabulous.
Absolutely.
So our veterinarian, where the story takes us, is I leave the hospital in May 17th, and we were back there by, I think, mid-July.
Mm-hmm.
Our vet, Joni, called us and said, Jimmy, can you please come to the hospital? My good friend's son was just paralyzed.
Mm.
He just graduated high school, and he and his friends were having a pool party at their house. He slipped trying to run into the pool and broke, I think, his C6 and 5, and was registered a quad.
Wow.
So meeting that family within a month or two after my incident and trying to talk to him. And he had a rough road just like anybody else, but he just graduated college, just got a new job, and yeah, he's killing it. So it's, it is something to be in this community. It doesn't stop growing, unfortunately. Car accidents and sports. It is amazing how many people are disabled, and it's not something you think about, though. As an able-bodied person, me included, when I couldn't tell you last time I literally saw someone out in a wheelchair that wasn't someone of age, that was very old or needed it. I never saw young people in wheelchairs.
Right.
So now I say a semi-young guy in a wheelchair because I was 39.
You are.
Yeah, I say 39 is young enough.
Yeah.
So that's the community, and I want to get out to seek more people, but it's kind of hard unless you dedicate a lot of time to it, because it takes so much to be disabled.
Yeah.
Getting a proper transportation. Can you drive? If you can't drive, who's going to drive you? Is it going to be public transportation? Trust me, things have gotten a lot, I don't want to say easy, but have been a lot has changed since the enactment of the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act. And I talk to people that have been paralyzed their whole lives, 30, 40 years in a chair. And I can't imagine. I think I have a bad day of getting around, and I'm like, I will not complain. I can't imagine not having curb cutouts. And, even in the hospital, we had to learn how to go up curbs. It's not an easy thing.
No. And think about like groceries delivered. We have Amazon. Yeah, they had none of that.
And, try to get in the car when it's raining.
Oh, the fun day.
I'm gonna be wet.
Gotta be late.
There is to it. Gonna be late. Gonna be wet.
It's cool that you mentioned that, like seeing disabled people. I feel like, and I want to ask you about shooting sports next. Is I see a lot of those. I see those in competitive shooting. I see them in archers as well, which is pretty cool. So that's being normalized more, or at least more athletes are in these sports, which I think is super amazing. So I am curious too, like, how did you find competitive shooting?
I knew a little bit about the competitive shooting. I just had never really done it with competing in mind.
Okay.
When my cousin Guy, who is also a police officer, who was also my best friend that we talked about, he was 2 years behind me. He went to the police academy. So then he did the same thing as I did, went through part-time jobs, worked full-time. He found somewhere to shoot IPSC.
Okay.
He's like, we got to try this. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. So we went shooting it in our duty gear because we just want to shoot it to keep we want to be better than the average cop, because what the state of Pennsylvania requires for police is junk. It's 60 rounds a year. That's it. 60 round a year course of standing at 25 yards and working your way up to 3.
Oh,
that's it.
Can you imagine? 60 rounds for me is like 2 minutes of a drill.
Yes. On a bad day for me, that could be one stage.
Yeah. A bad day.
A bad day. So where were we? What were we talking about again?
Just finding the competitive shooting. So you went to IPSC, and then what was next?
So we did that we'd show up our duty belts, and they're like, oh yeah, you can shoot with that. And we did that. But what's funny to me now is Guy and I would look at the guys that were there with the open guns and all this stuff. And I'm like, who the hell would spend $5,000 on a handgun?
Me. Right.
Yeah. I'm like, and I'm talking to Guy. We're sitting there going, who are these idiots? I'm like looking at them, like, these people are fools. And then they're like, we're going to walk through and see where the targets are. I'm going, what? See where the target is? I'm not going to know where the target is. We didn't even do walkthroughs. So they're like, yeah, you didn't shoot 5 targets. I'm like, oh, where are they? They're like, well, if you'd have done the walkthrough. I'm like, oh, really? Yep. So yeah, we did that for a while before I was shot. So it was kind of like, yeah, it was fun. I ain't buying no $5,000 gun. Not gonna happen.
Not yet.
Not yet. So little do I know that I get injured and I come out of it and I'm like, I want to start. After I got through the bad stuff, the first year was pretty rough. Chris and I immediately went to a counselor to try and get me through. I was having a lot of the whole flashback nightmares, sounds, everything was there. Anything loud really just set it off.
Yeah.
So it took us about 6 months of getting through it with her and talking and dealing with stuff to get through all that. And probably maybe at least a year after that, I shot sporting clays.
Ooh, okay.
God took me out there, we went sporting clay shooting for a fundraiser, and then just started back shooting pistol with him again. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I really, I like this. I think I can do this. So then it was like, how do I do this? I start looking around. Then I stumbled upon IDPA. And then what it actually was first is I stumbled on USPSA first. First thing I did, I think it was 2015, just signed up, paid my money, and got membership. Okay, what do I do with this now? Like, what, where do I go? Yeah. So I just started trying to figure things out. I'm looking on social media, I'm looking on Facebook. Guy and I were at, where was it? I want to say it was, I know where it was. It was the FOP National Convention was in Pittsburgh. And I was there as a volunteer. And I saw Tony that used to be a Glock rep, and I started talking to him. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna shoot for Glock. What do I got to do? He was like, yeah, I'd like to shoot for Glock too. So I'm out there putting my name to everybody. And I'm like going around, I'm like, and then people are looking at me like, you're an idiot. Don't, it's not going to happen. So I just kept looking and finding stuff. Well, then oddly enough, I find Michelle Viscusi.
Yeah,
Michelle pops up on there, and it just happened to be that I looked on one, I think, video she put up. I look on comments, and there's my buddy commenting on it. Apparently, he knows Michelle. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Her dad was a police officer in Western Pennsylvania, and my friend knew him because my friend was more of how should I say, talkative more than me. He's all over, so he knows everybody. So John says, yeah, I know Michelle. I'm like, well, see if you can shoot a DM or something, I can talk to her or whatever. So she and I chatted a little bit on Facebook and stuff, and I just said, yeah, I'm interested in the future to hopefully try and do this. She's like, well, good, see what you can accomplish. She said, I just happened to be out shooting, and then she got found for Top Shot and all this stuff. I'm like, well, I'm not as good looking as Michelle by any means.
She is beautiful.
She's a sweetheart though. I'm like, it's not only is she pretty, she's a pretty girl that's going to whip your ass in one of two ways, either guns or gymnastics.
More than gym, yeah.
So again, I'm just throwing my name to anybody, to anything, and then I'm just circulating on Facebook, circulating on Instagram, and somehow the right people saw me or whatever, and next thing you know, I get a call from a guy that works for the officer store, who I know in our area is our rep, is Jay Taylor. And I says, okay. He says, you're going to get a call. I'm like, I'm going to get a call from what? I'm like, I feel like this is the mafia. You're going to get a call. I'm like, okay. And next thing you know, Ed Fitzgerald calls me.
Wow.
And says, how about you want to be a brand ambassador and shoot? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, tell me what I got to do. I mean, I was dumbfounded because I didn't know where it's going to lead. I'm like, okay, maybe they're just going to say, hey, here's some ammo, here's the jersey and everything like that. Because Ed's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I just want to shoot for Glock. Because I carried Glock pretty much 90% of my career. So I'm like, this is who I want to go with.
Did you do like a little fangirl dance? I have to ask.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Fangirl. My God. I kept it quiet because I didn't know what they wanted to know and who wanted to know. And I'm like, I'm not jinxing myself.
Right.
Until next thing you know, Glock goes, well, here, we'll send you 2 guns to start. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I got the guns, so this is real. And Ed started signing me up for stuff. Him and Shane, and at the time they just got on the team.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
He's
I'm like,
phenomenal too.
Oh, Jesus. Phenomenal
So
ain't even a word. It's like,
so nice.
yeah. I meet her and she shakes my hand and I'm like, her hand's so small.
That's
And I'm
funny.
like,
Yeah.
she's a GM already and that
Yeah.
stuff. So I started, I think my first shoot was Ed sends me to Smith & Wesson Academy with
Okay.
the national IDPA shoot at all the range. Have you ever been up there to the ranges?
I haven't.
It's this, I would equate it to like a dungeon or what you would think prisons look like when you go down all these different hallways, because they had a range in every different hallway. Some of them were indoor, outdoor, kind of like I say, because you
Ooh.
went into one room where the range is and it's literally 25 degrees like it is outside.
Ooh.
And then you go to another range that is heated and it's real nice indoors. And it was, I'm like, what? I'm not used to this. And now I'm seeing like scenarios set up. And these are the scenarios set up and backdrop set up by Chad Barber, who is now at the SIG Academy doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Him and his wife set up the realism to the point where they have food, fake food on plates where it's supposed to be a restaurant. And I'm supposed to be shooting targets.
Yeah.
I'm like, and believe it or not, Shooting USA was there. And I got on TV and I'm going, this is just cool. I'm like, I'm doing this. So here I am thrust into the nationals of IDPA, shooting for my first time for Glock.
Wow. At
I
nationals.
sucked thoroughly.
Yep. I like how you decided to test all of these skills at nationals and like, but at least you went in, I hopefully without expectations, right?
Oh, I went in with the least bit of everything.
Okay, good. Because like some people go in like, I'm gonna crush it, and they have no idea what goes into competitive shooting, and then it humbles them very quickly.
Oh, humble isn't even the word. So I shot, and I had, again, I didn't know how long this was going to take. There's Chris with me, helped me carry my gear along and everything. And it was a 11-hour day.
Ooh. It's like a 3-gun day to me.
Yeah, we had so many people, and I didn't know what brought or what happened with the nationals. So I happened to see Shane the next day. He's running around with Mason Lane, and they're all. I'm like, I don't know these names yet. But I'm watching them shoot and I'm going, I suck. So it just was that time. I'm like, I've really got to do a lot of practicing to, in my time, in my mind, was deserve this opportunity. I says, it was, for whatever reason, I was provided this opportunity. I got to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And not just for me, just that, I got the idea of putting myself out there from Trevor Backham.
Okay.
Yeah. Trevor at the time was shooting for Smith & Wesson.
Yep.
And he was doing all kinds of different stuff. I saw him on Shooting USA shooting the Bianchi Cup.
Yeah.
I'm going, I can do this.
Do that.
Like, this is cool. And fine. And it took a couple of years, even once I got on Glock, to start to find Trevor and start talking to him. Yeah. And then sure enough, he started the Adaptive Shooting Summit.
See, that's really neat. And I'm curious too, like how have you been a test dummy for shooting competitions and the ranges, the rule sets, all of that for adaptive shooters?
I am that test dummy, pretty much. I'm sure Trevor ran into his issues wherever he was shooting. But once I got into doing the shoots, IDPA changed and put physical fault lines in. And those physical fault lines are kind of rough with a wheelchair. It's usually 1/4 inch. So you're going bouncing over this, trying to get over that. And everybody has been accommodating, believe it or not.
Good.
Once the ROs and SOs start seeing me that first year, they're like wrapping their heads going, what do we do? Or what do we go through? I think once I'd met a lot of people in the areas of shooting that saw that I was out there, most gave me just a big berth to say, just do what you got to do to be safe. Don't break the 180 and don't shoot yourself in the knee. Because think about it, at the time I was shooting from a holster. So to go to unholster and push out center line, that goes right over my leg. So I had to do an over accentuated draw past my knee and then come up.
Okay.
And I kind of learned to thwart that because now I'm out on my manual wheelchair. I mount the holster from Comtac right there. It's at my knee. So as soon as I draw,
I like
there's
that.
nothing to sweep.
Yeah. So you've kind of figured out gear in a way. Yeah. And like, it's interesting. I wonder if we can make like an adaptive shooting, like this, what is it called? Division almost too.
I would say that I think it's getting to the point where it's needed
Yeah.
to have the division, not so I can sit there and go, I'm one of one and they give me a trophy. I could get
Right. No. Yeah.
But
You didn't earn that. That's a default.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like, we'll give it
That's
to
the same when I'm in a female. Oh, you won female. Am I the only one? Okay. That doesn't count for shit. There are people though. Okay.
Yes.
I have to say this. You know how people like come in like, oh, you don't want participation. It's like these millennials. I've seen people that are 50 and 60 take their little ribbons home. And I'm like, really? Oh, really?
You mean the sandbaggers? Yeah, I've seen.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Now that I see a few of those, and I know a few of them out there,
you know a few.
I get it. Yeah, so I knew that I was going to be at a disadvantage, but I wanted to see where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And now that I've been in it now for some years, I think, because I'm trying to be as competitive as I can be almost with myself, because I can't look at anybody else's times.
Nope.
They're not going to be able to, go through a stage plan the same as me, because it never is. So I always have to do something different. And where I started seeing differences was only because I was able to take a class with an instructor, and that happened to be Keita Bussey.
Yeah.
Keita started wrapping my head around different ideas of where you want to look, where do you anticipate being, where is your reload going to be? Should you reload here, or can you wheel with a magazine in your hand while you push your chair?
Right.
So all these things I've now starting to change since a couple of years ago, and that was right before COVID hit. Okay. So that's kind of started where I started doing all that. And she's even mentioned propositioning or putting some information out to USPSA to say, hey, where is this going and what can we do with it?
I know the National Rifle League, I think it is, has an adaptive division for, so that was neat to see. We accommodate, you figure it out. I mean, it's not cheating if it's own division and it's necessary,
Whoever is heading up that part of the NRA, I emailed, spoke to a couple of times and said, if you need anything or you need to get anything, just mention me or just hit me up. I never heard from them.
That's garbage. That's garbage.
But they're doing it. I mean, I've seen the articles, the updates and what they're doing for some of the standards and everything.
So that's good. The other thing I want you to mention, I'm curious, what are some things that you've personally seen that people listening, match directors, range owners, what have you, what are some things they can change as far as like bathrooms, range accommodations, even like texture? What could they do better?
Okay. You've got to remember the ranges we've been to. I've been to CMP, Talladega, where we're up there. That's up there is everything, accessible bathrooms. But then I've been to, I'm lucky if I can get my wheelchair through this, let alone have a bathroom. It's rough because even, you go, never fails. You go into a restaurant, you go into the bathroom and you want to go to the stall that I can fit in.
Yep.
Well, there's always somebody in there enjoying the real estate as they sit upon the throne, legs out, and I have to wait outside the door.
F those people.
So usually what I do is I'll sit there and I'll wait outside the door after I've knocked repetitively, hoping they see the wheels of my wheelchair. And I back up and wait until they open the door, and then there's the look of shame upon most of their faces. And I don't say anything else, and I just go in there and do my business.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a lot I would say it's not a lot to ask of a range, but sometimes it is because you don't know the size of it. If it is something that's usually a national event held at, they usually have that covered.
Right.
A lot of them now that I've seen have, they have the porta potties. I mean, they're wheelchair ones. So I've seen a lot of them at places. for the most part, usually if I can find a corner of the range somewhere that I think no one's at, and
Not
I got
fair.
to do my business, I'll do my business.
It's not fair. 99%
It's
of you
not.
men get to do that because I can't even. I have to take off my damn belt, which means I have to go to a safe table, which means I have to put the safe table in the damn bag, take the pistol off. No, it's bullshit. Like, I hate being a female. You have no idea. I'm like, Sheelies do not work. I'm going to tell you that. Like, you're cracking up. It is so frustrating.
I get that. Now, here's the thing, though. I can combat that. All right. Now I'll combat it with this story. Imagine what I did for a living. I wore a gun belt every day,
Yep.
bulletproof vest every day, and was in a mobile office.
Yeah, true.
So what I had to do was, where at a district I was working, I identified my locations of deposit. You have to, because if you don't know where that is, you will not make it to the one that you can't get to.
So a lot of firehouses.
It's funny you should say that, because where this incident happened was at a fire station.
I knew it.
Okay, so I was wearing my gun belt. It was causing me back problems. So I wear the provided nylon shoulder suspenders to my gun belt. Didn't look bad. It was on a black uniform. I got it. On this abrupt day of need, I pull into the front of the fire station, not parking in front of a fire engine, run out of my car with belt keepers flying in the air, me going through the door. And again, you never take your gun belt off and leave it anywhere, because someone will inevitably take it.
Yeah.
I run into the stall, I open it up. Now, the last things I got are the belt keepers for the suspenders. So in the front, I take the fronts and I throw them over my back, and I drop the gun belt and proceed. Forgetting that I threw the suspenders over my back, they fall forward right between my legs into the toilet, of which now we're in the toilet water. Yeah, that was a fun day. Now, take the suspenders off, throw them away, and on with my day. So I feel your pain with the whole belt issue. I didn't have to go to a safe table, though.
Yeah.
I had my gun on my lap. And, but here's the other problem. I was at Frostproof and had to go to the bathroom, and I was at the furthest bay.
Okay, yeah.
Luckily, Dave Johnson from our range at Hanson here says, I got a solution. Comes back, mind you, in a wheelchair, he comes back with the trailer and the quad. They push me up on the trailer, and here I'm in my chariot going down the whole line of Frostproof, looking at everybody staring at me, to the bathrooms, which are very capable and accessible bathrooms. They have a handicap bathroom there. And so I've been in a few positions like that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the ranges, honestly, as many times as I can get down here to Florida, I'll go there because it's flat. It's easy to get around ranges.
Yep.
But anywhere north of here, you're going to experience hills. And my home range in Pittsburgh, I've gone to that since I was 8 years old. Oh, wow. It's all hills.
Yeah.
I mean, even getting to the bays, I shot archery there since I was a kid. I shot competition archery. It was the first competition I did using shooting stuff. So cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's even us. There's a hill on our range that I don't even want to run up. So
and there's pushing my fat butt up that hill is not going to be an option sometimes.
So what about, you already touched on it with the fault lines. What about like stage props, different positions, like even stage designs in general?
A lot of the things that I've run into have now changed, honestly. I haven't been on any real tight ones lately. When we get the hallways built in, sometimes more the IDPA shoots where they're getting a little more, doing some type of actual scenario base. Mm-hmm. And you want to give it the realism. It's the International Defensive Pistol Association. Yep. So I've had some issues with that either rectified there, or now that I've now done it and it's almost 7 years later, they know of me going through these, and they've encountered it and say, okay, can you get through this door prop first, without drawing your gun? Can you get through it, or do you fit, or is this, are you gonna be able to lean to get this shot?
Yeah.
So that's where they give me a little more, I would say, leeway.
Sure.
I try to play within the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
If I can just put my front wheels over and lean around a wall, I'll do it. If I have to take the wheelchair, put my body somewhat over the fault line, everybody's pretty forgiving on it.
Right.
I'm not always running out to the middle going, oh, I could shoot in the open because I'm paralyzed. No, I want to be that guy that's competing with someone.
Oh yeah,
and,
I know you're that guy. I'm just curious, like even lefties get screwed. The
yes.
Like the low ports, the high ports, honestly, like I've RO'd 3-gun matches where it's in the rule set with USPSA rules is some of the junior shooters, poor girl, we had to pull the entire bench over for her to even be able to see over the wall to shoot the 50-yard targets. So like there's has to be competitive equity to even be able to get there.
And I did have that a lot with the low ports. Fortunately enough, once you talk to the match director or the range master, shoot through the wall.
There you go. Well, that's kind of fun.
And yeah, I like to do that. It's fun when, and then they look at the mesh and they go, where'd you shoot? I'm like, I shot through the hole. So like, no, I said, I didn't hit anything. You see me hit that wall.
Pretty cool.
They're like, you didn't shoot through the hole. I'm like, yes, I did.
I got a video.
I did not break any of that wall. I don't want to hear it. You just thought my muscle was there.
Yeah. Now, go ahead.
I really have not had, other than my one DQ.
That's what I was about to ask about is I want to hear the DQ story.
I'm not going to give names because everybody who's been DQ'd will fight to their death going, I didn't do that. So same with me.
I called my own, but that's fair. Literally, you hear my video, DQ.
No, I was more like, hell no, I did not get DQ'd.
Right.
Anyway, it was literally it was this year, the Florida State Championship IDPA.
IDPA, okay.
And the RO read the stage description and did our own walkthroughs as we did right there. And then he said, now when you get to the last shooting position, make sure of your muzzle. Turn back towards the back of the range. I'm like, okay. So literally it was ending up at the end, which your shot was to the left around a wall.
Okay.
And that was literally hallway, your left is 90 degrees. So if you even go a little bit, it's going to be a DQ. So when I make that shots in front of me and look left, I see that I have a no shoot, target past the no shoot, and the wall. And I would say that the shootable target was probably 6 inches off the wall. So I would say you're at 172 degrees. This is where I was. I shot it. I sat back in my chair fully, and I turned my gun and dropped the mag, and I hear, "Whoa, stop!" And I'm looking at my muzzle, and I'm looking, and I'm like, "What?" There's Jimmy DQ. I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You broke the 180." I'm like, "No, I didn't." He goes, "Yes, you did." And there goes the
whole day.
Yeah. So I'm now angry. Holstered my weapon. The RO and the 2 other ROs, timekeeper, start talking, and they call the match director, and they're up there all kissing and making funny noises, and they come back, and he looks at me, and I went, "I didn't DQ, but I know you're not going to change it."
Yeah.
And he didn't. So I really, honestly, I wanted to stay with the squad and just finish it out. We only had, I think, 6 stages left, but I was like, I'm going to turn around and I'm not talking to anybody because I'm not going to say anything that just, okay, I DQ. Everybody does it. You're gonna.
Yeah.
So that was it. And I just came back and I left, and that was it. But that was my second DQ. So I'm, back there talking to guys like, "Yeah, I didn't see you DQ. Yeah, I didn't see it." I'm like, "Yeah, you've been to these talks."
Yep.
It's the beginning of the mutiny on the ship. The first DQ was my fault, completely my fault. Okay. Had nothing to do with shooting. It had everything to do that I shot the sheepdog match, the whole match, and our last bay was chrono and equipment check. And my gun didn't fit with the mag extension that I had.
No.
Because I'm an idiot, and I did not check that before. So I'm like, oh, these work for SSP. They'll work for the CCP.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
I was thinking about it. I have the EGW, but I don't think that's IDPA. I have the magazine
Yes.
measure for USPSA. Yeah.
Yeah. So idiocy occurs to me every once in a while.
It's not just you.
No, but yeah, I did that. So those are my 2 DQs, and I'll hold them proudly.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's everybody gets that feeling when you're there and you go, whoop, stop. You're like, oh, here it goes. Somebody's getting it.
Your heart sinks.
Yes, and you're like, oh, because it's never an opportune time, but it always seems to be at the worst time.
Yeah.
Like you're shooting your best match, or you're shooting this, just like me. I finished the entire match.
Yep.
I was ready to go home.
How about you drive 17 hours to a totally different state? You pay $350 and you make it on stage 1, and stage 1
you did not
spend $3,000 on a match, and you've been there for a month in 2 different states and
did not
all the way home. I did. That's on me. That's because I can't keep my feet on the ground.
Okay, you stepped over that line, didn't you?
No, I fall a lot. That one was when I definitely broke 180 with pistol. But the other ones that I've fallen, I've kept muzzle direction down, and it's all been safe. Like no firearms have discharged. I have a lot of videos now that I will make a compilation video of how to fall with firearms, with PCC, with rifle, and with pistol.
Oh my God.
I can't make it up.
No, you cannot make that up.
But anyways.
You're not supposed to put that on a resume as I'm good at falling.
Yeah, falling
with a firearm in my hand.
Safely.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
My joke was like, okay, if we can't run with scissors as children, why are we running with loaded firearms as adults? But here we are. Have you ever thought about that?
No, but now you're absolutely right, because don't you run with scissors. Never told me as a kid, don't run with a gun.
Yeah, no. So that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
My last question really about the shooting community too is kind of twofold. Is what's your favorite part about the shooting community? And one of the things we talked about offline is like, how important is it for all of us to just treat everybody the same, and how like our community is so welcoming to everybody?
You like buffered on that last part of that.
How welcoming is like the shooting community for everybody?
Oh my gosh. Okay, to answer those questions, the best thing about the shooting community is just literally the people. It has nothing to do with which community it is or which tribe you want to call it, but I've had 0 issues with any of them. Yeah. When I say issues, I mean you're always gonna have an idiot on your squad. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's somebody else that's going to make it difficult for the day. But at the end of the day, you go to that person and go, you shot good today. Or the person will go over to them and say, start shooting with us, or try and get on our squad and we'll walk you through this. It's just right there. And it's amazing to me. That's what makes me want to shoot more. Yeah. Is I get to go there, hang out, and talk with everybody there. Because it doesn't matter how fast you're going, doesn't matter how slow you're going. I had GMs at my range showing me how to do stuff the first year I was there.
Awesome. As
much as I had people that were on my same division and same capabilities to shoot.
Yep.
And I love it. I mean, it just really is all inclusive. And that's the nice thing about, I've never had an issue so far with me being in the chair that someone I've heard or seen going, you got to take extra time for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because, you're running the stage in 17 seconds. It may take me 54.
Yeah.
It's just because of, I don't run, I wheel, and rightly so. But I've never heard anybody sit there and go, hey, he's taking too long. Hey, this is this. If anything, I get the onlookers like, how the hell is he going to get through there? And then when they see me do it, they're like,
oh,
okay, really? Because we're getting to the point where we can discuss the iBot.
Mm-hmm.
When I move and when I'm shooting, I'm not doing both usually. Yep. If I'm shooting, I'm usually static.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point in the wheelchair where I knew I could roll, and I would try and roll into a target and shoot.
Yeah.
It worked sometimes. Other times it could go very bad. So I holster anytime I'm going to move, which allows me the ability to go anywhere and break the 180 because my gun's in a holster.
Right.
I just recently this year started shooting with my power chair where I don't have to holster because I can just keep it out. But I can't turn completely around anymore because then I'm breaking the 180.
Yes.
That has been a big mind check.
Right.
I really have to check it. And the guys I'm shooting with are like, look, Jimmy, that was close. When I go parallel, we got a parallel running, along the range.
Right, you got to turn as it turns at the same time.
Exactly. So most of the time I'll usually try and cross my right arm over left because I made sure when I got this chair that I wanted it on the left.
Yeah.
And then I'll go wherever 180 is down range. I just recently got to do it where I had to turn all the way up range and I just pointed the gun backwards.
Yep.
And then I just spun the chair and came right in the target.
That's what I learned this year as well, actually, is how to flip it under. Nobody thought to do that. And then you just bring it back up. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, when I took Kita's class, I got a copy of her book.
Yeah.
And on copy of her book, she's running the opposite direction with a gun over her shoulder. I'm like, looks odd as hell, but it works.
Yeah.
I think that's what it takes. Somebody like Kita to look at different things to let you know, hey, this is possible if you do this.
Right.
Or you can go around and do that. And that's kind of where my stages or my stage planning has come into, all right, what do I have to do? Is it easier for me to go right to left because my gun will be right there on the right and I can just come out and shoot, or the time it takes me to draw and come over my body left.
Yep.
With my body though, my core lets me turn left and continue left more than it does for me shooting to the right.
Oh, interesting.
I just can't turn as far to the right and have because then you're collapsing the right arm and being right-handed, that's turning my wrist into the gun and causing it to go left.
At this point, I think we need an adaptive division because similar to division sharing stage plans, production is not going to be the same plan as an open gun, which wouldn't be the same as, that'd be really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I learned these things. And of course, I don't really have anybody to impart them upon because other than now doing the competitive circuit a little bit, and mine is mostly East Coast related.
Yeah.
I don't see many people there in wheelchairs. I'll see some, except
Battle Buddy 3-gun.
Yes. And guess where they're coming to in Florida in February.
Straight to where you are, hopefully.
Close. It's the other coast, which I know how to drive there.
Yay. Oh,
I'm a big boy. I know how to drive up there. So yeah, I saw it coming. That's going to be, I'm excited for that too, because it's fun. I've had guys push me in my wheelchair before, and it's a whole new level of shooting on the move.
That's so much fun though.
Yeah.
And you saw that. I know we chatted about it offline, but you found Battle Buddy 3-gun. Was it online or through a friend or
Instagram?
Okay, Instagram. So you
saw it on Instagram.
You're an Instagram, social media, and TV person. So if I can get stuff online, then you'll see it. Okay.
Yes. I have lessened my time on looking at that stuff. Yeah. Just so I get out and do more. Yeah. Just like all of us, you sometimes get sucked into that screen, and it is. But I need to put up a few more of my videos. Hopefully, I get them out there and get people seeing them, because I have gotten a few followers now from places I never thought I would. Yeah. Like with Kita being so involved in IPSC, and then she blasted out my stuff one time. I'm getting all these foreign, non-English speaking people coming in. I'm like, sure, why not? And they follow my videos. I found a training group in Brazil that has guys in wheelchairs.
Oh, neat.
I see them shooting stuff. So it's out there.
Yeah. Now, 3-gun though. So IPSC, USPSA, what about 3-guns like piqued your interest?
Well, come on. I get to shoot more guns.
More guns.
Yeah, it's it's on that level of, hey, I would like to do that too. I just don't have the pocketbook right now for 3-gun. it's, I think I have probably the starter weapons for it.
Yeah.
But to get on the level where I have like, the new Mossberg 590 JM Jerry Mitchell edition,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, if you had to choose your favorite, like you only could run one for the rest of your life, rifle, pistol, or shotgun?
See, I haven't shot enough rifle as of late to say that. I think I'm pretty proficient with my firearm as the pistol level right now.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd have to go. But I love throwing a rifle up too.
Okay.
And I just haven't figured out the whole rifle and moving.
Yeah.
So I think I've got it in my head. I just haven't done practice yet of, as long as I have a single point sling and I can drop it just between my legs and move, I should be able to have a 16-inch barrel never sweep my feet. It really shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then I can, if I'm in my manual chair, I can still move wheeling with both arms.
Yeah.
But if I'm in my new iBot chair, motoring under power, I can move and hold that gun with one hand.
Okay, what's the iBot? I gotta know the design.
All right, the iBot is, we'll back up, Mobius Mobility.
Mhm.
Dean Kamen designed and invented the iBot. The iBot is a wheelchair that pretty much as a power chair checks all the boxes. It can go two-wheel drive, very fast, very slow, whichever you want. Then you could go four-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive puts 4 rubber wheels on the ground to go through mud, snow, sand, whatever you want.
Wow.
And then the iBot also has the ability to raise me seated in four-wheel drive to the point where I think I'm looking at about 5'9", looking into somebody's eyes.
Cool.
But then the iBot also has the ability to do what's called balance mode, which is the 4 wheels, each on each side, articulate together. And I wish I had all the pictures here to show you.
Yeah.
So the 2 wheels rock back and forth on the same arm. They rotate up to standing only on 2 wheels.
Interesting.
So then you have the 1 wheel above, 1 wheel below, and it's balancing me like this.
Whoa.
Dean Kamen invented the Segway.
Uh-huh.
So all the gyroscopic technology is in the same way.
Wow.
So all the weights at the base, it can stand me up, and that's called balance mode. And it'll accommodate for me. It keeps the balance. I don't do anything to balance. If I lean forward, it accommodates for me and it goes forward. If I lean backwards, it goes backwards.
Wow.
And then if I want to turn left or right, I turn it left or right and do what I need to do.
Huh.
I was so fortunate because the person that put the iBot in front of me was Trevor Backham.
Oh, cool.
When we went up to New Sig Sauer in New Hampshire, their academy in 2019, Trevor had already been working on getting an iBot. Mobius Mobility is in Manchester, New Hampshire. So they brought the chair down for him to use while he was there. I was able to get into it there, and I loved it. Problem is, everything in the disability world is beyond expensive. It just is.
Yeah.
They got to make profits, but sometimes certain things go way out of whack because it mostly goes through insurance. Yeah, iBot is the same animal. It's very expensive. So I didn't even think anything of it was going to come out of it. I was even up there in 2020 and got in another iBot because Trevor had gotten his.
Oh, wow.
And Jaylene from Mobius Mobility is Jaylene McLean is kind of what got a lot of it going. She's like, I saw what because we took a picture of my dad and I was literally the same height he was in the iBot. She goes, I saw that you and your dad and how you interacted with that thing. And she goes, I just got to get him into one of those. And she's like, right now, because of COVID, foundations and money has dried up. She goes, but I'll throw your name out there, whatever happens, I don't know. So literally probably that was 2020. I think I got a call probably only a couple months later, and it was from Gary and Mary Linfoot of the American Mobility Project.
Wow.
They had secured funding from Peace, Love, and Happiness group and they said, we are going to gift you the iBot.
Oh.
And I'm going, okay, you guys are yanking my chain somehow, because I've never met Gary or Mary.
Yeah.
He was a chopper pilot as well, like Trevor was. He was injured in a crash during the war, and he and his wife started this program, the American Mobility Project, where they try and get, something for whoever may need mobility wise to use, and they chose me. And I was so humbled by that. And I'm on the phone and I'm going, for me to be speechless, it doesn't happen. But those people humbled me beyond anything I could ever help anybody or ask for to get this device.
Yeah, but I think that your positive attitude and the way you've completely just held yourself, I guess, in the public eye, right? You're going to make an impact for other people that are watching you do that. Like, you're speaking, you're shooting, you have a really good positive outlook on life. I love your personality. So
Thanks.
It could have been a better person though to get out there and show people what else you can do in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the iBot Mobius is really doing that. I think now they have the approval through the VA. They can purchase it. So they did a big VA tour of the locations. Now what they've been doing, if you go onto Mobius Mobility, it's MOBIUS, for anybody to go on there and look. It shows you what the iBot does. It shows you how it works, the training they put you through. But they now go around with an RV with a special setup that has steps to show everybody everywhere what this can do. And they've gone all over the nation. And with foundations gifting the people, everything. I was told when I went up there in June to get mine, there were only 65 iBots in the world.
Wow.
So when I say humbled, for me, I'm just like, I am truly blessed to be able to use a device that is this advanced, because this is the second generation of it. It's been around since I think the 90s or like early 2000s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is the second iteration of it, and it is the bomb. I mean, I'm still haven't done enough with this thing to I've got myself in trouble little bits, but not bad. You got to push the barriers on stuff a little bit,
Yes, you have test gear.
Yeah.
For sure.
So a lot of the guys now that have seen it are they're like, dude, I don't believe that. Did you see what that thing does? And it's great, and if anything, it's a talking point for people to come talk to me.
Yeah.
I sit there and tell them, yeah, this is what, or when I see it, the people are like, oh, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm not going to get up and run to chase you guys, and I got to get my times down. So this is the only way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they look at me and they go, yeah, you're not right. I'm like, yeah, I've been dropped a few times. So
I'm excited for you. I'm very excited for you. That's awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying a lot with that thing lately. So
good.
Yeah.
I'm excited
out there.
what happens.
Yeah.
Now, switching gears.
Okay.
There's 3 topics I really want to talk about is like personal safety, concealed carry, and medical training. Okay. So I know a lot of my friends, they get complacent, or a lot of people are like, I don't need my gun, or, oh, it's too much effort to put on the belt and get all situated right. And that's the time they're going to need it. So really for people listening who maybe don't understand why you should carry a gun every day, the impact that, having a firearm has, can you kind of explain your experience? I mean, your whole life experience about why we really need to be carrying every single day.
I will go first. I'll talk about it as a police officer. Mm-hmm. Having seen with what a police officer sees will make you think about leaving your house with no protection. Mm. If you leave your house without a folding knife, or I would say even the beginning of a thought process of what would I do, you had better have done that prior to leaving your house before it happens, because you're just not going to know. Yep. And something going to happen to you where you're going to come close to violence sometime in your life. It's unfortunate, but all of us will come across that. Mm-hmm. Where it came across to me was when I started working. I'm like, okay, I do this. They're telling me I'm supposed to be a police officer 24/7. Mm-hmm. And when I was younger in the job, there wasn't a big push for it,
right,
through the people. But I was like, I love guns. I got to have a gun. So I honestly wore one more often than not. You know, the same thing in the summer. I gotta put a gun on. I mean, it's gonna sweat. And we didn't really have a lot of pocket guns, but
Yeah,
at the time in my career, I had the Mustang Pocket Light from Colt,
that's cool.
380 single action miniature 1911. But at least I carried it religiously.
Right.
So it was something. As I got on with my career and did a lot more training, I never went anywhere with less than like I carried my Glock 27. So I had a little 40 caliber 27 on my side or in a pocket.
Yep.
And the reason I did was I have 2 lists of people in my life. Those that like me, those that don't. And depending on how many people I arrested, which list got higher. So you have to think about that. I've had people that I've arrested that have thanked me later on, but I've had mostly people that I've arrested that I have run into again, not in uniform.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
So you have to be prepared, because these people you may have caused, you didn't cause, but you were a causative effect of what they did, but they think you put them in jail.
Yep.
Not they did, or not their lack of, concern for the civility of people. So I did that. Now, what I would tell people is they're like, they finally are involved in that one instance of violence. Now they all of a sudden have to be like concerned. They're like, I got to get a gun. I'm
Right.
like, no, you don't. I said, if you're going to get a gun, you need to take the time first to learn what's behind a gun, the laws of the gun, the 4 safety rules of carrying any firearm or having any firearm. And then once you've started shooting it, then you should start training to carry it. Because come on, you're basically just giving them a weapon to kill you.
Yep. License to kill, weapon to kill. Yep.
Exactly. And that's what was taught to us in law enforcement was, where's the weapon? They're like, what do you mean? They're like, every time you go on a call, there's a weapon involved. And they even stumped all the cops. Like, what are you talking about? Like, hey, you bring a gun to every incident, no matter how small, how serious, how non-threatening, you've brought a gun to that, which now elevates it, and which gives the opportunity for that person or persons to take it from you and use it on you.
Right.
So you have to acknowledge that, even as a civilian, that, you pull that gun, you better be ready to use it, know how to use it, and don't have it taken away from you.
Yes. Yep.
Because just because you shot someone does not mean they die. So
we've seen enough videos that several times too, and they keep coming in adrenaline and drugs.
Sure.
And having a backup.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And the backup is, I learned this lesson. You've got to train with a backup, because guess what? When I was shot, I was carrying a backup, and it didn't enter my mind to grab it.
Okay.
That's part of my training that I learned the hard way, that, yeah, I lost my gun, but I had a backup that I could have pulled out. What I didn't realize was there was blood all over it at this point in time, because I carried it on my vest under my left armpit.
Oh, it's so simple. I taught a class this weekend, and I was telling the females, like, she had the external safety. And when we were on the range, not even pulling from concealment, just completing the qualifier for Tennessee, she's like, my gun's not going off. External safety. Yep. I was like, do you see how this in practice you didn't even think to check? Imagine it in your life, right? Mind blowing.
Imagine the stressors you're going to be under. If you decide that this is where I have to pull that firearm to defend my life. This isn't just like, I got a gun. No. You have now put yourself in a position to help yourself, possibly help others, but also provide your own death. I mean, it's not shocking to say that. And, a lot of people have to truly believe that, because look what has happened in the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. COVID has happened, and people have seen the level of violence of people that are willing to do harm to others for what?
Like, think about the 18-wheelers just driving to do their job. Like, job.
I mean, I don't watch TV anymore. And if I do, it's old reruns. It's nothing new, because if you watch the news at nighttime and you see what's going on, 50 people entered a store in California to loot it. And this is like a Nordstrom's, and you think you're fine and safe and dandy in this high rich store.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, people were a step away from them doing this.
Right.
Don't try and stop them.
Nope.
But you need a way to do something to protect yourself. Should they turn to you and go, give me your purse, give me your wallet? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You'd better thought about in your head, okay, I carry my gun in my purse. I don't suggest it, but if that's where you're going to do it, do it. Think about the scenario. How are you going to do it? Are you going to shoot through your purse? Are you going to just try and pull it out? Hell no. Shoot that first round through the purse.
Yep.
Then
That's
get the gun out.
Revolvers. I love teaching the revolvers. Stick in the purse. Yep.
That's what and believe it or not, we bought our good friends, Jess and Clint. Chris talks to Jess every day. For her one birthday, we bought her a revolver. And she says, I always wanted to carry, and I know Jimmy could teach me. I taught her to shoot a little bit. And I said, look, pull the trigger, it's going to go off. I'm not worried about you limp wristing a semi-automatic. Pull it, it'll go off. And that's what she's done. And I give her credit for it because she took that step and effort to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the other thing too, that couples, families, roommates, all of that they don't think about is having a home defense plan, Goodness.
Yes.
Think about like the firearms too around the house. People call us maybe crazy or paranoid for having a firearm in every single room or having them concealed everywhere, having them on us. But you've seen, I'm sure, home invasions, robberies, burglaries, all of that. Why is that important to think about?
Just because you're home does not make you safe. You may have taken steps to safety protect your home. You've got a fire extinguisher. You probably have it in your kitchen under your sink. Probably not where it should be, but nobody wants to see a fire extinguisher hanging in your kitchen.
True.
Because they're going to be like, what have they been through before? And why am I eating their food? In all seriousness, you at least took that step.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now I want to hang mine up. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, see, exactly.
I do.
I went through Lieutenant Dave Grossman's courses. I've been through 4 of them. And he always brings up the statistics of how many schools have burned to the ground and killed students. But yet they still do fire drills every day. Every school, fire drills.
Yeah.
But we've never had the fires. But yet just now are we finally getting them to do active shooter drills. Unfortunate that it's kind of necessary.
Yeah.
Where that comes into play with what are you teaching your kids? They don't know violence, but yet we do, and we're not trying to protect them with it.
And I think on the political scale, and I don't think it's political at all, but like when people are saying, the guns are ruining having kids go to school and they're having to fear for their lives, it's the same thing as being at home. Like, think about it. Sure. Can you imagine? Like, we're having to have firearms in our home. Why should we have to do that? The entire world should realize that, like you said, there's no safe places. Doesn't matter where you are. Crime is here, and it's not going away anytime soon.
And don't think your kids don't know about violence.
Yeah.
They may, I absolutely do not touch video games now because I could get sucked in and I would no longer have a life. Because I know me, and I know sitting here, and if I get to shoot at stuff on a screen, I'm never going to leave that screen. So I don't, but I can see where this Fortnite and they're talking to each other and their friends like they're next to each other, but they're on screen next to each other. So they know at a young age, they know what it takes to do this, and they're unfortunately being involved in the violence in the world. Right. So there's no reason not to say, hey, at a young age, do it appropriately. Just tell your young kids, if you see this gun, you do not touch it under any circumstance.
Right.
You go to somebody else who does. You need to teach these things. Yep. And I don't know that we do a lot of that. I mean, you're going to go so far as to, let's just say, unfortunately, I have to title it this way, a liberal family, and they're against guns, and you tell their kid you don't ever do guns. Well, the kid has an innate curiosity.
Yeah.
But you're not teaching them about it. They're going to see that and go, ooh, that's a gun. Curiosity is going to get them more than you sitting there going, don't touch it.
Yeah.
But it's a start. Maybe that if you did say, don't touch it, they're going to go, oh man, dad said don't touch that. Even if he's not had access to it in a family that doesn't think about guns.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, all these people, the gun sales through the roof. You have the statistics to show you of people who have guns.
Yep.
I just went to pick up 2 mags at the store because I have a shoot this weekend, just when I had the backups. And I saw, a couple, both of them were in their 60s.
Wow.
And I could tell these people probably have never fired a gun, but they're buying it.
Yep.
And understandably so.
Oh yeah, I'm getting people in my classes. I had a couple from California this weekend. So husband and wife, they have no clue about any concealed carry laws because they've never been illegally or legally allowed, or how to carry or why to carry. And I'm getting people from New York. I'm getting people from New Jersey. So I mean, every single person is moving to freer states.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what was our country founded on? Hello. Second Amendment isn't like a vague little thing. It says shall not infringe. It doesn't get any different. It doesn't change. It doesn't lose any bit of its validity just because we're now only 200 or so years away from it.
Right.
Hello. China has dynasties, people. Dynasties.
That's true.
And we've only been in our little, project here for a couple hundred years.
If I was listening, like putting project in quotes is my favorite. Oh my god.
Well, it was. He said it was this experiment of becoming a free country.
It's just mind-boggling how we're a free country and a state line 1 foot over the wrong state line is going to define you as a criminal. I mean, it's just.
Hey, if it wasn't for those of us who choose not to get vaccinated and fight this, you're going to need your papers.
I've already
papers to go into a state. Sure you are.
Germany.
It's New York.
I went to Germany and Kentucky. Kentucky is nowhere. I went to Germany and Alabama, and I'm like, in what? Like Germany?
Yeah.
Germany. I've never, and I couldn't go in. I was like, cool. Guess I'm leaving. But this is insane.
I mean,
it's insane.
I was slated to shoot the adaptive shooting summit this year.
Yeah.
And we were ready to go. Chris and I were ready to go. She's one thing I love. Every time we go somewhere that we have to drive or fly, she finds some type of entertainment for us to do after shooting.
Okay.
She's like, if you get to do this, well, then we got to do this.
Yep.
I'm like, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Damn right.
So we lived close to Shanksville for that 9/11 memorial. Excuse me. So we've been to that a bunch of times. And she was to the New York, ground zero.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been. So we're like, oh, we're going to go there after the defensive shoot. I said, hold on, hon. I said, you remember, we're not vaccinated. And I think New York has the in place. And I looked it up and it is. I said, now I can't go to our nation's memorial because you've now violated the Constitution on mandating me to be vaccinated.
Yep.
What is wrong with that people aren't seeing?
I know.
Get the vaccination, don't get it. I don't care either way, but right. I'm not telling you to not do it or to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not affecting how I let you travel, or I'm not,
stopping you. Where you work.
Exactly.
Like how you make a living. Right.
So aside from going off that tangent,
that's good.
That's kind of, because you'll watch me turn red on how many.
I know you and I both
stages, and because it carries over into so many things in everyone's life and is affecting it on so many levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
No wonder that our kids are getting screwed up even more. They're going to school. They're not going to school. They're online. Oh, the teacher's sitting there in her pajamas online. Oh, so you mean I should even get out of bed to do it online? Yeah. But then there are kids that are excelling that never did before. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But what bad thing is, we're going to send our kid to a school with a mask that doesn't stop anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep. And they're going to share masks. I've seen that with my 6-year-old nephew, and that's super gross. And they don't wash them. And then we can hug people, but now we can't touch people or be close to people. So what is it?
Well, Chris and I do at least 4 miles or 5 miles in the morning. Mm-hmm. She walks. Obviously, I don't. I roll. Mm-hmm. And when I was young or younger, when you were out on a street somewhere or parks, some of the trash you would find on the ground, you found one to laugh at was usually a condom.
Yeah.
Well, guess what's now taking place of that? The mask.
Everywhere. And hiking this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, I haven't even thrown away, but I picked up 4 different masks.
Ew.
Well, I know, but I have a
I'm
trash
just
bag.
kidding.
I know. I'll tell you, Kaylee Payton, she's amazing. She put up with me and she did as well. Even like, okay, when you tear a stupid little corner from a freaking plastic bag, I picked up like 12 of those. I have eagle eyes.
Oh.
I picked up a hidden like monster can, masks.
Mm-hmm.
There's some odd stuff, but like, and then I have anxiety when I look down a mountain and I can't reach the water bottle. But anyways, yeah.
What? Thanks.
Would die. Yeah, if I can't, I would die.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah. So, I mean, it's just those things that I've noticed. I'm going, it's so bad that we've already polluted the earth. I don't want to sound like, Greenpeace or anything here, but we have. Okay, it is. But now you've just added one more thing.
Yep.
That's now be like, oh, what do you see? Like you said, you went on a hike.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah, and someone just like
away from people. Yeah. Or you have the people that hang on to the mask and they wear it everywhere by themselves in their car with the windows up.
Yep.
Really. These are the people that I call brain surgeons.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in a more political realm, this would be great, maybe.
Okay.
And again, people that are not seeing what they should.
Sure.
Why is it important for us as a shooting community or just in general to normalize the need for plate carriers, personal defense weapons, medical gear, and all of that every day?
Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah. Why do we need to normalize that? How can we normalize that? And why should people be getting kits,
I hate the fact that we have to,
yeah.
But bad people aren't going to just stop being bad.
Yeah.
And that's the shame of it. As technology comes along, I think it's going to be the people that say, I never will have to carry that kind of stuff will. Because they're going to see or run into that supposed violence that where it touches them. They may not be in that scenario, but they might have been close enough, or they might have just left that area. And now they're looking into it going, maybe I should have that in my trunk of my car.
Yep.
I have blankets in there maybe for if we're going to get stuck in the car.
Yep.
So this is just a matter of fact thing now. We have great technology for med kits. Thank God to all the people we've had in wars.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Iraq and Afghanistan, think about how far the lives that were lost and also for lack of better terminology, the limbs that were lost.
Yeah.
And all these men and women coming back and making fabulous, fruitful lives with, prosthetics. And whereas maybe 10, 15 years ago, that might not have been as readily available of an option.
Right.
So now you can buy a med kit for, let's say, $100 and you got a pretty damn good med kit.
Yeah.
And you go to your first med class and it's how to stop the bleed and put on a tourniquet. Just that.
Yep.
If you can learn that, you will have has anything to do with violence. You will actually help people using that tourniquet before you even use it for an incident of violence.
Yep.
Anytime. Chainsaws you're around, bandsaws you're around, anybody doing their weekend home remodeling, they have a table saw.
Yep.
If you have that in your car, if that's the closest you're going to carry it with you, at least it's that close, or at least yeah. And those of us who shoot, we have stuff like that everywhere.
They make kits where you can attach it to your belt. Like
really? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Belt loop carriers.
I have like the Tech Lock, and then I don't know if you've seen. I gotta find it. The new like T-Rex arm system, so you can actually change out your accessories. So you have your holster and like your pistol and your mag pouch. Okay. Then you can take the mag pouch out with like a dowel. It's like just on a hinge, and then you
did not see that yet.
Oh,
I'll have to look at that.
Oh yeah. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do some of the tourniquet switch out. So this is the dowel in the middle and it bends, so you can completely it's still rigid. So that can come out. You can take this entire piece out and then put a clip, and then you have your holster without your mag. Now you do 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Pretty cool.
Wait a minute here. What mag is that?
Oh, Walther Q5, and this does not fit that holster, but
you're talking to who?
The Glock guy, because hold on.
I
know. Hold on. I have a Glock example, Glock 17.
See the protective weapon in your home.
This is my nighttime gun. Then I have a 43.
Wait, is that a Gen 2?
How did you know?
Oh my God.
I know. It's my first.
Don't leave that around me.
No, this is my first gun. That is my baby. I will never ever sell it.
That is a beautiful weapon. I noticed immediately because of the frame.
That was really quick. That was pretty cool. No one knows that. But okay, not to digress. So then I want a 19. I haven't gotten a 19, so this fits that.
Okay.
So I have one for testing from a friend, but then the tourniquet. So you can take this off and then have a tourniquet with your gun. So the modularity is so cool.
You need to sit down with Lucas Botkin.
I know Lucas from shooting, let's see, Fort Benning and Memorial 3 gun.
Oh my God.
I wrote a review on this stuff because I was really interested in it. So they asked me to send it to them when I'm done. I mean, they're good people doing medical gear, rewarding people for caring, and they're educating people in their emails about the political environment.
Absolutely. I follow a lot of people, as I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
In my travails on the Instagram world. And, he's that, I'll say, unusual animal because he's not law enforcement. He's not military. He is a civilian that wants to be highly educated, has educated himself, which is no better education. He's applied that education in life and used it to better not just himself, everybody else he comes in contact with. I mean, who's doing that as a company?
I know.
And
he's pretty young too. I think he's even younger than I am.
You guys to me and they're young and you suck.
We're kiddos.
Yeah.
He's not far from me. He's somewhere in Tennessee. I can't remember where, but their company's not that far.
I mean, come on, look at his range.
Yeah.
Tell me that's just not like you're like,
Dreamland.
Dreamland. Oh my God. And then I see him show up at the range and I'm going, Jesus. I just want to know if there is going to be an apocalypse. I'm going to find out where he lives and I'm going near there.
I like it. No, the reason I was testing this out though is because I do have different winter care, summer care, carry all these stuff. So was curious.
Oh, sure.
This could fit Glock mags, Walther mags. I could.
Okay.
I'm sure I have an HK of Smith and Wesson. I have every kind of auto plastic gun out there. So technically, one holster system could rule them all with just buying different holsters, and the rest you swap out. It's pretty cool.
Sure, I love it. Brilliant. Modularity is the way to go. If you can limit having to buy, I've now bought my 12 holster. It gets to be quite costly, and then
so much
all
money.
That happy stuff.
Yeah, we've digressed.
Yes, I know. It's that other wormhole that we've gone down.
I like it.
Ventured into.
Okay, we talked about medical-ish and training. I'm actually curious, what else should people have on them besides just a firearm? What are some other tools?
Absolutely, you have to have knife, firearm, extra mag, and some type of torch. Let's go like that, which is flashlight. So some people do that. So it's got to be some type of flashlight. Now with me, I have to look at a lot of different factors because I'm sitting all the time, obviously. So recently, it's not the best concealed carry in the world upon me making a fast draw, but it's Galco's new drawstring holster comes up and you pull your firearm.
Okay.
You have to look at it. Where I saw it was our lovely Michelle Viscusi working for, sponsorship with Leopold and with Galco. I saw it and I'm like, I got to try that. So that for me has worked very well because it doesn't print. Just a fanny pack that sits in front of me.
I like that.
Whereas before, I'm used to wearing t-shirts, Under Armour t-shirts, so nice and cool. And I don't really have anywhere to hide that firearm on me.
Yeah.
So, and it's sitting, you're still putting more pressure on your shirt. So it's going to print pretty badly. So I'm kind of relegated to the fanny pack.
I like it. Yeah.
But it works for me.
Yep.
I don't like it if it was mounted on my chair for concealed carry, because it is easily that I'm going to fall out of my chair.
Follow the chair, lose the chair. Chair goes rolling. Can't reach the chair. It's the same as a purse. When the purse is gone, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. And we know Murphy's Law is going to happen. So, I'm probably going to fall out of the chair, either trying to get away or trying to get to cover.
Yep.
That way, if the firearm's on me, I'm a lot better off.
Yep.
So those are, I think, if you can carry 3 things, knife, flashlight, and firearm, you've really done a lot of what you need to do. Now, I don't do this religiously, and I need to, is I don't have the 4th option. I don't have the tourniquet.
Okay.
But what I need to do is here's what I have to carry on a daily basis. I have to carry something to hold my pills for pills I got to take all day long. I have cath kits I got to carry with me, and somehow to self-cathing. Those, obviously, for paralyzed, those are things about and I have to do.
Right.
And then I have, what else do I have in my bag? I have a flashlight. I have a secondary backup knife, wallet, eyeglasses, because I'm old and my eyesight isn't what it used to be. And then I have my badge is in there. So I carry that on a bag on the back of my chair.
Yeah.
And that's there all the time, because there's nothing in there I can't do without it if I fall out of the chair for the second.
Right.
My phone is usually either in a pocket underneath the chair or in the back of my chair.
Okay.
But the other thing I like is I wear the iWatch, because then I have phone capabilities if I'm out of the chair and I fall out of the chair or something like that.
That's a big invention. That's huge. I mean, that's just even think about, like, instead of safe, what is it? Safe alert, safe flight. I don't know. When people fall, life alert.
Life alert. I fall and I can't get up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just get an Apple Watch or iWatch.
Just get an Apple Watch, you infirm cripple. Just do it, damn it.
They rendered that mute though, so there you go.
Oh yeah, listen, anybody who doesn't know the commercial, I fall and I can't get up. Yeah, that's that poor old lady on the ground. Everybody laughs at her, but
it happens.
We'll all be there. Yeah, trust me.
I'm on trail.
I've numbered mine. Just recently I'm at 78. So over 10 years I've fallen out of the chair 78 times.
Okay, over 10 years.
Yeah.
Me with 2 feet have fallen on the probably triple digit.
I don't know what we got to do with you. It's like, do we need to, get you better shoes or something?
We've talked about, like, metal spiked shoes, a bubble suit for me.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. I saw the loggers, like the logger shoes.
Oh my God, yeah. It was just on the tips of the feet. They have those little like pins at the bottom of them.
Yep.
God.
Oh God,
yeah.
digress again.
Yeah, I don't know if that's I fall. Just watch for me. I'll be on the ground.
Be good. It's fine.
I
can't wait.
I've only gone over backwards in the chair with the gun out twice. And it was, believe it or not, it was at the same range 2 years apart. I shot Delaware's state match for IDPA. The same guy that helped me wheel backwards. So it was you had to shoot at your target while walking backwards to get out of the hallway. So as I'm shooting, he's pulling me backwards they put down plywood because the sand was so loose.
Yeah.
And he's pulling me. Well, he let go. And when he let go, I leaned back a little bit and the chair went up and backwards. Yep. So I knew that the gun had to go down and forward. So I was on my back, half out of the chair, and my hand was down at the side and at least pointing downrange.
There you go. Good job.
Except
isn't bad.
The same guy offered to push me the next year and did it again. He felt so bad. I felt so sorry. I'm like, dude, it's not really your fault. It was kind of the same position where you let go of the chair, then it's on me. Because no, it's my fault. I'm like, no.
So funny.
I'm like, I'm not hurt. I didn't shoot anybody. I didn't get disqualified. We're good.
No big deal. Yeah, that's fair.
So it's been fun. I've been in some predicaments, stuff like that.
But you get back up again.
Yeah. But hey, that's what just came into my mind. When we were talking about equipment, my first holster system was actually from Safari Land.
Okay.
Safariland, I had seen, had put together a holster setup, and I think it was the first one for Trevor Backham. And then when I met Bobby McGee from Safariland.
Oh, Bobby, yep.
He goes, I had my holster on. He goes, yeah, I made that. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. He goes, no, I made that. I'm like, oh, did you designed it? Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I rocked that. I used that one for my first 3 years of shooting.
Okay.
And then when I saw Trevor work with Comptac and I wanted to try that one, then I tried that one. I'm like, I like that one a little better.
Yeah.
So I used that. But Bobby, man, he hooked me up.
That's awesome.
He got that all through. And it was through the rep for Western Pennsylvania, Stacy Petyak, helped me. And when we first started getting going, I didn't have my belt, I didn't have my mag carriers, nothing.
Yeah.
And Safariland equipped me. Yeah, he did everything. So I was pretty thankful for that.
The community is small, way small. But we show up. That's pretty cool. You're pretty much probably like 1 or 2 connections removed from who you want to talk to.
Oh yeah, it's crazy the people I've been able to meet and talk to.
Yeah.
And just the people that I've gotten to see on the regular that you just love to see. You know, it's like you haven't seen a relative for a couple of years and then you see these people.
Yep.
And it's
Family reunion is what range days are for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I was surprised at how many people do travel.
We're nuts.
Expensive nuts we are. Yeah.
Remember, single, no kids. I got this.
Okay. Yeah, you do. And you're 3 gunning, so you,
Ooh.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait till you're on the range that day and that guy comes up.
One day.
He's like, hi, Kenzie, how are you?
I'm not going to realize it, I feel like. How you doing?
Yeah, probably.
Joey.
Yeah. You're going to be like, my, you have such a nice gun.
No. He's going to say that to me.
Oh.
No. You remember you haven't shot my 2011 and mine babies.
Oh my God, yeah. Mm-hmm. Your babies. Mm-hmm.
Some dude asked me what my loadout was once, and like I name it, and they're like, "Cool, so mine's like 1,000 total, and your guns are like 3,000 to 4,000 total." I'm like, "Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much."
But it's the same as any other sport.
Sure, it is.
You know,
as soon as you get sucked in by any sport, it becomes addicting and takes all your money.
And custom, everything. Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's a bowling ball,
golf,
exactly,
tennis.
Yeah.
God.
Well,
Fishing.
I grew up on a golf course. My father was a golf course superintendent for 52 years. Yeah.
52.
Yeah. He worked like anything else. He worked on the grounds crew until he got to be the boss.
Oh.
He was the boss for 27 years. He just retired just 2 years ago.
I love that. Yeah. Hardworking dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, he that was 7 days a week. That man went to work every day. Every Saturday and Sunday, it would just be for a couple hours and make sure, we got watered or who cut the morning. And I did what they say not to do. I worked for him for 5 years and realized that I will never work for him again.
Love you, mother, but I worked at my mom's florist shop, and I hate working for family and specifically flowers.
At the time, I didn't like it because, again, I was in my late teens and, you're going to butt heads with your father. So I did. But now I wouldn't have given it up for the world. I had so much fun working outdoors and everything on a golf course.
And he taught you a lot. Yeah.
I see this, though, just like when I went through Lieutenant Grossman, he goes, golf courses are a waste of property for a good gun range.
Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good gun ranges out there that just have golfers on them. Yeah. But see, that's the thing. I golfed, but I made it a drinking game mostly. That.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was my fun with it. Yeah. If I hit the ball, I hit the ball. I just open another beer.
It got better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or just didn't care at that point.
Love it. Well, that's when it gets better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're like, hell, whatever.
Oh man, Jim, this has been fun. I have one-ish 2 questions left.
Okay.
I want to know what's next for you and any final thoughts that you want to leave listeners with.
Okay. Well, we know that this is our downtime, the whole wild month of December, and then back at it in January. So I've already got, I think, 3 shoots lined up. We're starting at Florida. I'm going to shoot IDPA state championship there. I'm going to shoot, I still have the sheepdog to shoot this weekend in Valdosta, Georgia. So I'll shoot that CCP match. And then hopefully some more USPSA I'm going to sign up for to see where that goes. And just next year is just going to be a little bit, hopefully a lot more shooting. 2021 has been a just shit year.
Yeah.
Here we left 2020. I'm like, it can't get any worse. Well, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And 2021 came in. So it was just a little bit of health issues this year for me and Chris. And it took us pretty much the whole year now to get through it. Yep. So I just put shooting a little aside this year. I think 2022, I'm going to try and get a little bit more back into it. Depends on how much ammo I can get. And then we'll do all of that. But yeah, I think get through that. Hopefully do some stuff with Chris, with our dogs. They're our kids. They're also what takes the other half of our money because they're just expensive. Taking them to the vet is taking a child to the hospital.
Yes.
And we love our girls, the 2 German Shepherds we have now. So
pretty.
Yeah. So we'll do that in 2022, hopefully. I would like to say I'm still tossing it around of SHOT Show. Okay. I've never been and would always love to. So we'll see. I don't know.
I want you to go so bad, but
yeah,
you already know that.
Yeah. So we'll, because I'm sure I can get in a whole lot of trouble out there.
Oh, I'm going to help influence that. I'm one of the young ones that does that. Oh, yeah. No. I think I went to bed at like 9 a.m. most.
Oh, I can't do that anymore. Oh, my
one night.
God.
You can do it one night.
One night. Like, yes. Is that the guy who shoots for Glock in wheelchair? Yes. We just wheeled him in here. He's not awake yet.
There's no judgment in Vegas. Everybody goes and everybody leaves and nothing happened there. Duh.
Yes. Nothing happens in Vegas. Yeah. He didn't get knocked out of his chair while he was drunk. No.
Fun fact though, and I'm still not going to tell you why, but I ended up in a wheelchair when I was, I think, 17 in Vegas. And my family, it was on a family trip. My brother would wheelchair me. That asshole would hit me into every machine and every human being walking while I was in this damn wheelchair. And I couldn't walk because like my whole ankle was like wrapped up and stuff. And I remember seeing the Blue Man Group.
Oh, yes.
They don't talk. So like when I took a picture with them, they're miming about like, what happened? I'm like, I just can't even. So those are my memories.
I can see that. That's not a problem. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's 2022. And I've learned to kind of take it after this whole COVID stuff. I've learned to take it almost more of a day by day.
Yes.
I don't, as long as I get to see the people in my life another day, it's a good day for me. So I guess my kind of takeaways are, like I said, what I'd like to get back to everybody. If you wake up today, you wake up tomorrow, whenever your wake up time is, enjoy it. There's going to be something that taxes you that day or something that tests you in a day. It may be a small test. It may be the biggest test of your life. But understand the test will end. And when the test ends, you just go on with your day and you just appreciate everything in that day. Because if it's not appreciated, then those that have lost it, that gave you the ability to say, hey, I lost my relative. I wish I had that day with them again. I didn't talk to them. I wish I had that day with them again. It's just something you have to take that just 10 seconds and think about. Can I do it in a phone call? If you can't do it in a phone call, make sure you do it in person. And doing it in person should be the way to do it. But we all know how FaceTime is a good, hey, what are you doing? I see what you look like. I'm not just talking to you. I don't just hear an ear. Yep. You just got to hold what's important and do something with it. I don't care what it is. If you learn something new, that's one thing I think I'm trying to do is I've gotten to do so many things since my injury. Yeah. Or people are like, well, what was your injury? Or what was your accident? I'm like, it wasn't an accident. Someone purposely shot me. Yeah. It was an accident that I didn't duck. It's an accident that I didn't zig when I should have zagged. All those things. And people, I've gone and I've talked to elementary school kids and, they always look at you. I mean, I've had 500 of them sitting there. We would take the dogs in and let them pet the dogs. And they always, I think I got it from like a high school student. He's like, well, what would you have done differently? I said, I would have called off that day. Some of them laugh and some of them get it, but they're like, you can't call it off. Like, yeah, obviously if I knew I was going to get shot, I wouldn't have gone to work. you know?
Yeah.
So that's just my little joke with it. But no, you know what? At this point, if you got a few minutes left, this is something I forgot to bring up, and I want to do it on principle. I said I had 2 partners that day, and one of them was Matt Mcdaniel, and one is John Steiner. I don't have one of them with me anymore. John killed himself. The kid. Yeah. He, I don't know what he was going through. We only talked, you know, when we were together. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm great doing this. You know, he left that day of that department. The day I got shot, he found out that day that he was getting a full-time job in another department. I found out that I wasn't getting that job with him. Our one sergeant said to him, he goes, "Hey, John, don't go doing anything stupid like getting shot tonight."
What?
Yeah. So John didn't get shot. I did.
Right.
John went on to another good department full-time, got on the SWAT team for the county, then went on to an even better job at Cecil Township, where I started, where my cousin works, in the same county on the same regional SWAT team.
Yeah.
John was there for 2 months, and January of 17, he killed himself.
That is so sad to hear.
Don't know why. You know, it's the same thing. We don't know why. And I always want to get that out to people to understand something that it hasn't been easy for me, but I make sure to appreciate what I can.
Yeah.
And that, you know, these people will come into your life for a reason, but they may not always be there.
Yep.
So you have to appreciate the fun you have, appreciate the love you get, and make your days go on.
Yeah. The time you have, for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
To finish that sentiment, like,
Okay.
how do people follow you on social media, and what is your website URL too?
Okay. People can follow me on Instagram, Facebook are the easiest ones. I have a website. The website is basically OFC, my name, Jim Kuzak, KUZAK.com.
Perfect.
And that's my website. And then that's my handle on Facebook and on Twitter. I mean, well, I don't really Twitter. I just go on there to see what idiots are saying. But Instagram, it's same, Officer Jim Kuzak, and Facebook. So usually if I post one on Instagram, it's on Facebook.
Awesome.
And I promise I'm going to start putting a little bit more out there. Yeah.
And if you're not, you're gonna be bothered by 3-Gun Kenzie, who's gonna tell you.
Well, yeah, you're the social media queen, and I need to get out there. I don't know how to do all the cool stuff, like the cool kids. I don't use filters. I don't know how to put all the stuff on the screen.
You don't have to do that. I post the good, the bad, the ugly, the raw footage.
Okay, there we go. Well, I can give you some damaging photos.
The sliding photos.
Yes.
Our videos are there.
I will also have photos for you that I failed to get to you.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah,
well, Jim, thanks for being on the podcast. Thanks for sharing your story. I hope,
absolutely.
I'm sure there was tons of takeaways, but I hope somebody, you know, listening, I hope you made that impact for the one. I'm sure for the many, but you know, that makes a difference when you share.
Thanks. I thank you for giving me the opportunity. I really mean that.
Oh yeah. And you'll have the opportunity to shoot 3-Gun in 2022 with me somehow, somewhere.
All right. Somehow, some way.
I'll be your battle buddy.
I'll let you know when the battle buddy comes out.
Love
Absolutely.
It. Awesome. Well, listeners, stay tuned for the next episode of the Reticle Up podcast, and thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3-Gun Kenzie.